If aliens exist, how can we communicate with them? If we send a message, what should it say? How should we send it? Two familiar organizations have pledged to scour the vast regions of space for signs of extraterrestrial life. But if it takes hundreds, thousands, even millions of years for light from distant stars to reach Earth, how long could it take for an alien to answer our call? Are aliens contacting us right now? Join us as we investigate how scientists are sending and receiving alien communications. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed. Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. For thousands of years, we have wondered if we are alone in the universe. Today, we may have the technology to answer the question. But the scientific search for extraterrestrial intelligence began in the late 1950s with the birth of SETI.
SETI stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And these are radio astronomers who believe that if there are civilizations out there, the best way to detect them will be listening for radio signals that they've either sent inadvertently just through things like television and radio, like we have, or as a deliberate attempt to try to make contact.
Communicating with aliens is their prime goal, and they regularly listen for and send messages in the hopes of making contact.
Their effort to try and detect radio waves is done through radio astronomy. There are very powerful radio telescopes here on Earth that essentially are tasked to scan the skies, look for some type of signal of some kind that differs from what you naturally see in the universe.
But what is a radio wave? Why are they important? And where are they coming from?
Everything that you see by looking up gives some type of radio wave or radio signature to it, and it's different across the board. A planet or an exoplanet is going to give off a different radio wave and radio signature than a quasar or a nebula or a galaxy.
We are spinning through an infinite universe, so capturing the radio waves of an alien species is not as easy as it sounds.
Unfortunately, it's like looking for a needle in a stack of needles. You have so many radio waves out there that are naturally occurring. You have to figure out which one sticks out that shows that it's intelligent.
Celestial bodies with magnetic fields produce radio waves. And this electromagnetic radiation has different frequencies. Scientists can tell by looking at these different frequencies what these different objects are.
Unsealed case file. The Arecibo message. November 16th, 1974, Puerto Rico.
In 1974, scientists developed a message, or a radio signal, that we were going to broadcast from the Arecibo radio telescope out into the cosmos in hopes that somebody was listening.
This was the idea of the astronomer Frank Drake. And what he did is he used prime numbers to send a binary message. So you could actually, if you ever picked up this signal, you could decide to decode it one of two ways, white-black or black-white.
The message depicts vital information about Earth.
This was a diagrammatical representation of the Arecibo telescope itself, human beings, and again some basic information about planet Earth and life on Earth.
The message is sent to a distant star cluster known as M13. But critics claim there is a problem with this methodology.
We were going to beam this message to a star system that was 21,000 light years away. Just assume for a moment that somebody was listening. But we weren't going to know until 21,000 years later. Now that is a pretty long time to wait, but now add in the fact that they want to respond. It would take them 21,000 years to then beam that message, assuming that that will travel at the speed of light, back to us. It will take a full 42,000 years to then just say hello.
But there is another more disturbing reason that has some experts concerned.
Many people at the time said that the Arecibo message was highly irresponsible. Indeed, the Astronomer Royal in the UK described it as a scientific suicide note. And he said that we ought not to be drawing attention to ourselves in this way and making ourselves known to civilizations that might be orders of magnitude more powerful than us and perhaps hostile.
Coming up, NASA attaches more vital information about Earth to space probes and then launches them toward an unknown destination. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. Scientists searching for extraterrestrial intelligence in the universe are sending and listening to radio messages from deep space. But in the 1970s, leading astrobiologists of the day decide to try a different approach. Unsealed Case File, Pioneer 10. March 2nd, 1972, Cape Kennedy, Florida. NASA launches the Pioneer 10 space probe. It's an historic event. Pioneer will become the first probe to travel the outer planets, the first to travel through the asteroid belt, and the first man-made object to enter interstellar space. But there is something else on board that is also a first.
Scientists thought that it would be an interesting idea to place messages to civilizations that might one day encounter these spacecraft.
Leading extraterrestrial scientists Frank Drake and Carl Sagan are given 3 weeks to come up with a plaque that is eventually attached to Pioneer 10.
And so they created a plaque that was visual in nature, where it showed a human male and a human female,
but also images that would say something about our civilization, technical information that would illustrate the position of our sun in the galaxy, and additionally information about DNA and indeed early human development. So this was, to all intents and purposes, a message from humanity to the stars.
Just 5 years later, NASA sends another probe, but this time with a recorded message. Unsealed Case File, Voyager 1. September 5th, 1977, Cape Canaveral, Florida.
The Voyager program kind of took the next step in trying to communicate with aliens. Instead of a visual plaque like on the side of Pioneer, the Voyager had a golden record.
These were in the form of records that one day perhaps alien civilizations might find and be able to play. And there were a series of images and sounds that really tried to summarize life on Earth.
Voyager's golden record tries to encapsulate life on Earth and all of its biodiversity.
And the intent with the Voyager record was essentially to give them a piece of us, that they could hear who and what we were. They could essentially see who and what we were. They could understand the life that could be found here on planet Earth. They could find planet Earth.
These were scenes from everyday life, music, but also just really, I suppose, a testament to planet Earth and the human race, who we are.
But many in the space industry are uneasy that NASA is speaking for all of humanity.
Some people say we shouldn't do it at all, that the universe might be a dangerous place and we ought not to advertise our presence to more advanced civilizations.
Others consider arguments against broadcasting a message to be pointless because planet Earth is an already easily detectable civilization.
If we send a message, what do we say? And indeed, who should say it? Who truly speaks for planet Earth? Should we send a simple greeting? Should we send an invitation to make contact?
We're giving them a map to exactly where we are when essentially they could be malicious. They could be our enemy. And do we want to give a blueprint to our inner workings to our enemies here on Earth? Absolutely not. Well, with the plaque, with the Voyager record, with the messages beamed into space, that's essentially what we are doing.
Up next, SETI claims they receive an extraterrestrial message. But what does it say? Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. NASA is not the only organization attempting to communicate with extraterrestrial civilizations. Other scientists have been sending physical and radio wave messages toward distant stars for decades.
Scientists believe that radio waves are the best way to receive and perhaps even send messages between civilizations. Firstly, because they occur naturally, so it's a kind of logical thing to observe in the universe and then think, hey, we could use this. The critical point is that you can encode information in that way.
But as scientists send messages to space, they also look for a response. Unsealed case file, the WOW signal. August 15th, 1977. Ohio State University, Big Ear Telescope.
Possibly the best evidence ever of an alien civilization came in 1977 when radio astronomers at the Big Ear Telescope detected a signal which seemed to have all the characteristics that scientists said an artificial signal should have.
It wasn't during the time that scientists were actually looking at the screens. This was at a time that was considered downtime. It was in the middle of the night, and scientists noticed it the next morning.
At 11:16 p.m., Big Ear records a signal 30 times louder than naturally occurring signals. After 72 seconds, it abruptly stops.
The astronomer who was on duty when this was first detected was so stunned by this that he wrote in pen on the computer printout, "Wow!" exclamation mark in the margin, because to him this was exactly what SETI had been looking for.
Now they tried to find it again. It did not repeat, which is what you want to see on an intelligent message. Now essentially they could have just beamed that message once and that was it, and didn't repeat it. We don't know for sure. But this was something that piqued that scientist's interest, and it's kind of lived in SETI legend ever since.
Does that mean that this was a signal not from an alien planet, but from an alien spacecraft? And might that explain why it didn't repeat?
Over the years, SETI has detected other promising signals. But so far, all attempts at decoding the alleged messages have turned up nothing.
There was a similar incident in 2010, and this was dubbed the new WOW signal.
Now, this signal looked like nothing that they had detected before. It was not easily discernible as a galaxy or nebula or pulsar or something that they could discount it as. So they tried to find it again. They searched the same area of sky in hopes that that signal was repeating. Unfortunately, it was not.
The new WOW signal is unique because it was discovered in a frequency range known for being quiet.
There is a very quiet part of the spectrum, generally known as the water hole, and natural objects don't tend to radiate in those frequencies. So SETI scientists have said that if you wanted to listen out for a message, this would be a very obvious part of the spectrum to study. Finally, it appeared to emanate from very close to a nearby star, which some people say is perhaps home to a planet where there might be something in the so-called habitable zone.
But critics say the new WOW signal could have been emitted from one of our own satellites.
We don't know if this was something that was detected on accident, that it may have been one of our signals that maybe had hit a satellite or bounced back to us.
It's one thing to detect a signal, and quite another to decipher it.
To really figure out how we're going to talk to an extraterrestrial civilization, scientists are looking here on Earth and how life communicates.
Some scientists are looking at the possibility of understanding language, if you can call it that, from whales and dolphins as a first step on the road to maybe deciphering an extraterrestrial language.
But many experts believe that if we are going to understand an alien message, we will ultimately need some extraterrestrial help.
If they wanted us to detect their signal and decode it, which surely they would, an alien civilization would, I think, want to make it easy for us. This isn't going to be a puzzle, so they're going to want to send us that Rosetta Stone. They're going to want to send us that primer.
Coming up, we uncover why the controversial search for extraterrestrial intelligence continues despite zero government funding. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. Scientists all over the world are actively searching the skies for alien civilizations. But why has there been no breakthrough communication with an extraterrestrial intelligence? In 2003, the Hubble Space Telescope performed an astounding study.
The Hubble trained its camera on a small pinpoint-sized spot in the sky that was essentially dark. Scientists believed that there was possibly nothing there.
The Hubble Space Telescope's ultra-deep field study found an estimated 10,000 galaxies.
When you look at the photographs and you understand just what you are looking at and how massive just that pinpoint is, you realize how astronomical, pardon the pun, our universe truly is. That proves beyond any shadow of a doubt, finding intelligent life in this universe is going to be nothing but luck.
SETI scientists consider the apparent silence from the cosmos not a sign of failure.
It's exactly what they would expect, but the technology, they say, is now approaching the point where if there are civilizations out there, they would expect to pick them up within the next few years.
But many scientists also contend that finding intelligent life in the universe probably means they will be more advanced than us. And that may be one of our biggest problems.
There's an irony about a civilization that as it progresses, it might become not louder, but more quiet. We see this with the transition from analog to digital technology. Actually, digital produces far less of a radio signature that would be detectable across interstellar distances.
Advanced alien civilizations may be hard to detect with conventional radio waves, unless, like us, they are trying to communicate on purpose.
The logical beacon is a sequence of prime numbers. The chances of this occurring naturally are, of course, infinitesimally small. So if you pick up a radio signal that's a sequence of prime numbers, that screams to you there's a civilization out there, and they're trying to get our attention.
Maybe one day, in the not-too-distant future, one of our signals will be heard by an alien civilization.
Critics of SETI say, come on, this is an organization packed with really super intelligent scientists. They've been looking for decades and they've found nothing. The search really has only just begun.
This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth.